You see this footage that they finally released the footage and about that 60-minute interview that Kamala had where she completely sucked and they completely edited it.
Yeah, my thing is, how did they know it was? Oh, because it was released. Okay, that's what.
Yeah, it was released. Who released it? Did somebody that leaked?
Ain't no loyalty in them streets out there.
Especially not for lying people.
Ain't no loyalty in them streets.
Especially not for lying people.
Itchy scratchy.
Talk.
Hello.
That's over here. Especially not for lying people and terrible politics. You see, she just on a side note, you saw she is gearing up the campaign to run for governor in California.
Gosh, I hope not. Please, Lord, help me.
Because you know how long, and these people will vote for her for 2 terms out here.
I don't know. The state was almost red. It's just one little blue area, so we gonna see.
I ain't gonna lie to y'all, my people. I've had my share and my feeling, and I'm full of California. Your stomach is bloated. You like, okay, I had enough here.
The true Kamala Harris has finally been exposed, and the US is breathing a collective sigh of relief knowing they chose the right candidate in Donald Trump.
Hello.
CBS was forced to hand over the raw and unedited footage from the Kamala Harris interview they aired during the election campaign as part of the FCC probe into whether the network violated the FCC's news distortion policy. Complaints were filed after it was revealed that 60 Minutes heavily edited the raw footage for their on-air program, which was different to the footage aired on their YouTube and digital channels.
Heavily edited.
But it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
Well, Bill, the work that we have done has resulted in a number of movements in that region by Israel that were very much prompted by or a result of many things, including our advocacy for what needs to happen in the region.
But it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
We're not going to stop pursuing what is necessary for the United States to be clear about where we stand on the need for this war to end.
Donald Trump.
So that was her original answer.
Did y'all see that bull crap answer?
Yeah, it was, the first one was wacky. The second was short and direct.
So she said a bunch of words.
How did they even get that? It was like the edited and then the original. Wait a minute.
I think once they saw that, they were like, "Oh no, this is not gonna fly. We're gonna have to retake this. They're gonna crush your head." So they must have. I don't know what 60 Minutes. Who owns 60 Minutes? Who is in control? What side are they on?
I don't know.
Blasted Kamala Harris and CBS at the time, saying, "A giant fake news scam by CBS and 60 Minutes. Her real answer was crazy or dumb, so they actually replaced it with another answer in order to save her or at least make her look better. A fake news scam which is totally illegal. Take away the CBS license." He then sued CBS, demanding $10 billion in damages, alleging deceptive doctoring of the interview. The full interview revealed today has shed more light on the bizarre story, highlighting Kamala Harris's famous word salads.
Of the future, what we can do to maintain America's strength in the global context.
But that's why you want to run. That's why you want to be.
That's why I'm
president.
running. That and some other reason.
Harris also scolded a staffer mid-interview.
Anniversary of the Hamas attack on Israel.
October 7th.
So let's just start with Israel.
1 second, Bill.
Yeah.
Sorry, we had someone in the background. I'm afraid you're going to have to re-ask that.
Okay, whoever's in the dining room. It was me. Okay.
There was also a bizarre part at the end of the interview where Kamala Harris was asked to repeat a question, but instead she sat there nodding uncomfortably.
Madam Vice President, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Bill. Good to be with you.
Well, can we just get just a little bit of a question, please, so I can get a really short shot?
That look like I don't have no answers. I don't have no answers. Why y'all asking me?
You need me talking?
Yes, sir.
Well, we were talking about how you're going to pay for it, and I mean, I truly do mean it. Your plans are logical, make logical sense. The way Washington works is not logical. So how are you going to convince a divided Congress that what you say, your plans, are something that they should all agree to and provide to the American people, when they've shown no inclination to do that up to this point.
Is that what you needed?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. 30 seconds of silence, please, for each time.
Is she supposed to answer a question?
And this commentator made a side-by-side comparison of an edited and unedited answer, which shows the true extent of the distortion.
Would you meet with President Vladimir Putin to negotiate a solution to the war in Ukraine?
Not bilaterally without Ukraine. No. Ukraine must have a say in the future of Ukraine.
As president, would you support the effort to expand NATO to include Ukraine?
Those are all issues that we will deal with if and when it arrives at that point. Right now, we are supporting Ukraine's ability to defend itself against Russia's unprovoked aggression. Donald Trump, if he were president, Putin would be sitting in Kyiv right now. He talks about, oh, he can end it on day one. You know what that is? It's about surrender.
Would you meet with President Vladimir Putin to negotiate a solution to the war in Ukraine?
Not bilaterally without Ukraine. No. Ukraine must have a say in the future of Ukraine.
How about, as president, would you support the effort to expand NATO to include Ukraine?
Those are all issues that we will deal with if and when it arrives at that point. Right now, we are supporting Ukraine's ability to defend itself against Russia's unprovoked aggression and doing what we can to continue to build and strengthen the alliance around the support for Ukraine's right to be an independent nation, free from having its borders forcefully taken by Russia. And we are going to continue to work closely with our NATO allies to continue to reinforce America's alliance in the context of NATO.
The FCC.
So listen. By her,
They're real short.
listen. She thinks that it's going to sound more presidential if she puts all these commas between her words. I'm
She's thinking.
And
She's thinking.
I want to
She's trying to make it make sense.
buy a taco and a
She's-
large drink
She's thinking.
for our global restaurants. You know, it's like,
Processing.
yeah,
She's processing it in her mind because she doesn't know. She didn't. I feel that's what I feel like. I was like, okay, she's trying to put it all together and make her answer still sound on topic.
right. And if that unedited version would have got out there, she would have probably had to pretty much step down out of that election. She wouldn't have. They wouldn't have. The people that she had, she wouldn't have had them voting for her if that CBS interview had got out.
Yep. Wow.
Possible ramifications for CBS after a decision is made on the intention of the editing.
Consequence from that.
Well, look, there'll be the full suite of FCC options that are on the table that apply to any broadcast licensee. We obviously haven't made any decisions, but there's no way that the FCC can adjudicate this claim without getting a copy of the transcript. You know, at the end of the Biden administration, my predecessor summarily dismissed this complaint, but I'm not sure how you can possibly do that without seeing the actual video to see what was the real answer. Was it edited? Was it, edited for clarity and length, which would be fine? Or are there other reasons why the editing took place? So we're going to take a look at that, and we're open-minded as to potential consequences.
Will you...
Wow.
Online commentators reacted to the unedited footage, with this person saying, "The entire 60 Minutes interview has dropped. This will remind you how lucky America is that this lady did not win."
Yes.
Wow.
Thank God.
This
Right.
person agreed, saying, "I just read and listened to the full unedited Kamala Harris 60 Minutes interview, and I know why they needed to edit it down. It was simply horrible. Total pablum answers, meandering and boring." The footage comes after top podcaster Joe Rogan unleashed on Kamala Harris and her team for peddling lies about her near appearance on his podcast.
Today. I guess it's probably a good time to talk about this. There was a thing that came out recently. There was a book there was some book about the Kamala Harris campaign where they talked about her getting on this show. And they said a bunch of things that weren't true. They talked to, supposedly talked to like 150 different people about her and, you know, what happened with her coming on the show. I don't know if it's 150, a lot of people. They didn't talk to us, and which is kind of crazy. And which is like, they didn't even ask. But they said things that just weren't true. One of the things they said that weren't true was that we lied about the day that Trump was coming on. No, we just didn't tell you that Trump was coming on. He was already booked a long time ago. This is how it worked. Trump was really easy to book, like super easy. We offered one day. He said yes. That was it. There was no, what we're going to talk about, how long is it going to be, is it going to be edited? There was nothing. Yeah. What's the waiver? Here, give me that waiver. Sign it. It was so easy. Wow. So he was already booked.
Wow, look at that.
They never committed to doing the show. So all this talk, there was another thing they said that the reason why they did the Beyonce thing, the Beyonce event in Houston, was so that they could be in Texas to do my show. They never agreed to do the show. None of that.
But despite this continued humiliation, Kamala Harris is still proving to be popular amongst Democrats, according to former Trump senior advisor, Christian Wheaton.
Seeing some incredible polling coming out showing that the Democrats are at the lowest numbers possibly ever. The Republicans are flying. And we've got this talent pool amongst the Republicans. So many young, bright, future presidential candidates. You've got J.D. Vance, Ron DeSantis, Vivek Ramaswamy, Sarah Huckabee Sanders. The list is long. Who is going to be the next future leader of the Democrats? Is it going to be Gavin Newsom? Is there somebody else who's a front runner who could possibly take on the next line of Republicans who seem to be just absolutely going gangbusters?
Yeah. It's hard to tell. They just elected a new technical leader, Martin, who was the head of the Minnesota Democrat Party. At Minnesota, of course, the origin of the vice presidential candidate, Tim Walz, known as Tampon Tim, since he wanted to put, in fact, did put tampons in boys' rooms in school. But then you're right. The sort of real leader would be who is the heir apparent, who's the likely nominee 4 years from now. There's a surprising amount of support among Democrats, it seems, for Kamala Harris as
yes.
Wonderful.
Bring it on.
Gavin Newsom as well with his state on fire, literally. And so the real question to me is whether they can figure out a way to talk to normal Americans, get back to speaking honestly in plain language and talk about economic issues and move away. You know, they're still talking about how they're going to have a delegate who is trans. You know, I'm actually a gay guy, and I really don't like being associated with this alphabet soup or being considered an acronym as opposed to just a person. And I think most Americans, including Americans who would fit in those different groups, just are so sick of the ethnic politics and the identity politics. So if the Democrats, if they can't get away from that, then they're looking at 8 to 12 years in the wilderness.
Yeah, that's good.
On Friday, Kanye West went.
Let's go back. You know what my example of, when I look at the Democratic Party now, it gives me an example of if I was sitting in front of me, if there was a steak, big steak, and I cut off all the fat off this steak, and then I just throw the whole steak in the trash and leave the fat. That's what the Democratic Party of me. It's the trash. It's the leftover stuff. It's the stuff that you don't want, but it looks good with the whole steak. But that's not what they're about. They're not about the nourishment. They're about the junk and trash. And thank God we have a steak now.
Yep.
We have nourishment. We have protein.
Yep. Now we're going to have fairness. We're going to America first. We're going to have our issues first, and we're going to be able to get some of our money back. Meaning, tax-wise, our dollars are going to be going to the right places and places that we truly care about. And I'm excited. You know.
What? Speaking of, just before you go past that, imagine what life looked like if he jumped and did something with the IRS. What would life look like? Well, first, it would be more. I know that it sounds. I know it sounds super attractive to saying like just getting rid of it, but it's certain things that have to be funded to this country to keep this country operating. So I wonder what would be gotten rid of from the IRS? Like what would be cleaned up? I mean, I know you may not know that question, but what would be cleaned up so that if you got rid of IRS, what would replace it? What would it be to so that maybe the country gets its funds?
I mean, what I'm seeing is that they're really combing through with a fine tooth comb, getting the meat of every organization. They're top quality key players that's been making a difference and who has the backing. See, Trump is about competency and performance.
Right.
Not just having certifications and certificates and degrees and you underperforming, because that don't mean a hill of beans. You know, you can fly through a university.
Yeah.
So they are really combing through with a fine-tooth comb. So I definitely would say have your key players there. And the people that's really for the people, not for themselves. Of course, you want to look out for your household. I'm not saying that. I'm saying you're actually there to do the role that you're getting paid all those thousands and thousands of dollars to do. Get your number movers. That's who you want. And that's what he's doing. It is interesting.
So, and I think with that, you know, America should not vote in the next 20 years. Shouldn't vote for a Democratic president unless you're running unless you run an RFK and then whoever on the Republican side is trash. But America should we should see the fruit of this 4 years and say we need to keep voting like this until we have seen otherwise.
Yeah, well, I'm liking it. I really enjoy. Stay tuned, people. Stay up on the policies, and we are. I know many of us. I see us on all platforms who are chiming in, who are staying abreast, and they are holding up their bargain of the deal. You know, so far they're doing what they're said. I mean, but even before he came in, he hit the ground running. He hit the ground running, having meetings that Biden wasn't even having
At all.
I'm just like, please.
All right, y'all. 2025 is the year.
It's the best year.
Smash that like button, hit that subscribe, turn on post notification. You know all the good YouTube stuff.
Love you guys.
Bye.